Welcome to our medium intensity interval training class. So basically what we'll be doing in this class is take a handful of movements that are Budokon yoga and Budokon mobility in nature, so Budokon yobility, and basically looping and repping them for a period of time. So in our case, it will be 40 seconds on and 20 seconds off to prepare for the next movement. I first wanted to break down all of these exercises for those that are newer to Budokon, so you can really kind of understand some of the nuance. I won't go super in depth, but you will get a good idea of what we're doing in this practice. If you are already seasoned Budokon veteran, you can already go ahead and skip on to the next part where we'll dive right in. Our first transition is a down dog through a rolling wave to upward facing dog. So let's get into that together. Beginning in a tabletop position, make sure your wrists are nice and warmed up. Spread out into the fingertips, step each foot back, and draw your chin into your chest to ripple back into a downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lift high to the balls of your heels, curl your tailbone towards your face, and round through the spine. As you ripple forward, shoulders past the wrists, and melt the hips down at an angle. Keep your chin drawn into your chest as you unfurl the spine, open up across the collarbones into an upward facing dog with the knees floating. Draw your chin back into your chest, press into your shoulders to fill and protract there first, keeping the hips low, and then as you extend back into your down dog, feel the ripple through the spine. So let's try that again one more time together. Lifting high to the balls of the heels, curling posterior pelvic tilt, gaze towards your belly button. As you round forward, melt the hips at an angle towards the wrist as you unfurl. Last thing to scroll up is the crown of the head. Drawing your chin back to chest, returning the wave back to the seashore into our downward facing dog. Our next transition is a downward facing dog rolling vinyasa into a cobra roll. So from downward facing dog, lift high to the balls of the heels. Again, rippling, curling the tailbone towards your face, ripple forward. This time we find ourselves in a strong plank. Hug the elbows in, shift your shoulders past your wrists, and slowly descend with control all the way down to your belly here. Cobra roll. Knees will draw forward, tops of the feet lower down to the ground. So I'm in an anterior pelvic tilt. This transition begins with the pelvis, drawing the pubic bone towards the navel to find a posterior pelvic tilt. So just find this for a moment, just curling the tailbone towards the ground and then sticking the booty back, making it wide and big. Just this little mutation to begin. Good. Now, find that anterior tilt so your booty's sticking out. As we begin to find the posterior pelvic tilt, begin to press the ground away simultaneously. Keep the hips melting down to the ground as your chin draws into your chest and you press the ground away into an upward facing dog on the tops of the feet, floating through those knees once more. Rippling back as we did with the last practice, drawing your chin into your chest, big press into your shoulders, ripple back, one foot turns over at a time, downward facing dog. So let's try that again one more time without any pausing. Lifting high to the balls of the feet. Pull that pelvis towards your face as you round forward. Finding that strong plank, hug the elbows in, lower your nips and hips down at the same time. Draw the knees forward, toenails down. Curl the tailbone down as you press the ground away. Keep melting the hips. Elbows in towards the midline. Unfurl the spine into an upward facing dog. Tops of the feet. Draw your chin into your chest as you press and ripple back into a downward facing dog. Good. Lower the knees down. Sit back for a moment to give your wrists a little shake out. Our next transition will be a external dancing dog. So we do this, or we will begin this from a seated half squat position. Now what this looks like is essentially my shoulder is going to be stacked over my wrist, my knee over my ankle here. So when I lift up, these still remain in a nice architecture. I'm not too far out here. Drawing everything in so they stack nicely. The extended right leg and foot, bending through the right knee. Draw the right heel towards your sits bone. Lift and engage this right lat to have the hips just hovering. So we're really not pressing the hips up, but it's more of this slight engagement of the right lat and pressing into the right hand to find this little hover. So you should be able to move and kind of swivel here in this 2-point base position. So, first movement, once we establish this architecture in our seated half squat, the extended heel draws in towards the sits bone. Lift to hover the hips. Base the left hand to the mat in line with the right hand and pivot on the left foot so you square off your hips. My right knee is still hovering on the mat here. Extend the left leg. Draw the right knee to your right armpit. Make the biggest circle that you can with the right knee. Reach the right toes behind you. Pivot to the knife edge of the left foot and reach the right toes down to the ground, lowering the hips down into now a seated half squat on the opposite side here. So let's try this again on the opposite side. Left heel is now extended out. Draw it in towards your sits bones. Find that little hover. Base the right hand. Square off your hips. Left knee to left armpit. Big circle with that knee. Reach the left toes behind you. Reach left hand. Find that little tick-tock position before lowering down with control into this seated half squat again. So one more time, a little quicker, because that's how we will move through these in our class. Right heel, draw it into sits bone. Lift, base the left hand, big circle with the knee, take it all the way over, reach in opposite directions, lower down with control. Left heel to sits bone, base right hand, big circle, reach, lower and descend. Seated half squat. Beautiful, guys. Our next movement is a warrior's bridge from side to side. So this action will essentially look like just switching from one seated half squat to another seated half squat by shifting your butt from one butt cheek to the other butt cheek, side to side. Now notice here, I always have the knife edge of my foot rooted down. So as I shift, I'm not keeping my heel up, my toes up. I'm keeping the knife edge based. All right? So warrior's bridge. In this position, we don't want it to be too wide. We always want this extended leg a little bit more in front of our body here. The right hand, just as we did before, as it reaches behind you, we're keeping the shoulders stacked over the wrist. The left knee will stay and remain stacked over the ankle here. Keeping that knife edge rooted, sweep the left hand across the horizon to bridge up into this warrior's bridge position. Now notice, gaze down. Keep the right blade edge of the foot rooted and keep the left foot completely on the ground. My shoulder is stacked over my wrist, and I'm going to lower down with my hand guarding my face. All right, opposite side, but switch to the other side. So now my left hand is based, left leg is extended. Set up your architecture, sweep right hand across the horizon as you bridge up to the sky and lower it down. Hand guards the face, straight down. But switch to the opposite side. Sweep, bridge, gaze up, lower, hand guards the face. Switch, blade edge. Notice I'm not coming to the ball of this based foot with the bent knee. Okay, as I bridge up, I keep the entire foot based and I'm not collapsing into the midline. I'm drawing that knee out to the side, super active here, and lower down. So that is our warrior's bridge. Our next movement will be from a seated upright position. We will forward step into a squat to one side, back step back into the seated upright position, and move to the opposite side. So let's see what that looks like. As we transition to forward step, my right leg, sweeping the ball of the foot across to one side, almost like I'm twisting myself up or setting myself up into a warrior's base position or combat base, excuse me. We will let's just slide the foot back for now. Lower the right knee down and forward step the left leg across. Brush the ball of the foot and brush the ball of the foot. So we're always remaining connected to the ground here. So adding on, as we lower the left knee down, the right ball of the foot brushes forward, we will shift forward here into now a warrior's base in this kind of narrow lunge position. Curl the back toes under, pivot both feet to open up into an active squat. Now reversing this motion. Pivot on the feet back into a narrow lunge, lower the knee down, base the left hand, and paintbrush the right ball of the foot back into an upright position. Let's try that on the other side. Lower the right knee down, forward step the left ball of the foot forward, curl the toes under, open up, pivot on the feet into this active squat. Return, square back off, lower the right knee down, right hand bases, brushing the left toes through center. Keep it going. Let's try it on the other side. Forward step, ball of the foot, open up, squat, reverse, hand bases, brush the toes, opposite side. Find some fluidity of movement as you move through this, okay? Our next movement is a double block to a double block through a horse stance. So let's stand up and establish a horse stance position. So feet are at a 45-degree angle, lowering down through our hips as much as we can, and we'll reach the right arm up, left arm down. Extend the right leg straight, root the knife edge of that foot, and diagonal slice your arms to become parallel to this right leg. Transitioning back through a horse stance, we will pivot our feet back out to the 45-degree angle simultaneously and reach the left arm up now and the right arm down. Opposite side. Extend left leg straight, knife edge roots, and diagonal slice the arms to become parallel. Notice here I want your hands to really flex towards the face and reach in opposite directions here. Right? We're blocking high, blocking low, hence the double block. All right, pivot the feet back to 45, reach the right arm up, left arm down, and diagonal slice to the other side. Right leg straight, through center, find a little rhythm, opposite leg. Now go back through center with the right arm up. I'm going to turn around just so you can see it from this direction here. So I will go back to extending the right leg straight, staying low in the hips, opposite side. Boom, through center. Boom, center. All right, this is the idea. Aim not to lift and lower, all right? I want you to stay low through this active range of motion. Also, gaze towards the extended leg each time you extend that leg out. Our next movement is an S-seat bridge. So lowering back down into an upright seated position. Lower both knees down to the right side, creating this S-seat architecture in the legs. Now I want us to point through the toes, shift forward, and bridge your hips forward. All right? The right hand can assist you beside you here as you descend to lower back into this S seat, flexing back through the feet here. Let's try it on the other side. So knees draw up, aim to keep the feet where they are, really working this active range of motion in the hips. Here, we shift forward either with our hands or without our hands. We can shift. I like to point through the toes to make it easier to rise up. Really bridge those hips forward. And left hand can assist you behind you to lower yourself down. Flex through the feet, opposite side. So this is one variation, pointing through the toes, shifting forward, thrusting the hips forward, and lowering back down. Knees rise, shift, and bridge. Second version, the version I'll be doing in class, the knees will rise over to the opposite side. We will base the right hand behind you and sweep the left hand across the horizon like we do in our warrior's bridge, and feel this nice side body stretch, this front line and the left side stretch here, and then lower back down. Flex through the feet, knees rise over to the opposite side. I'm shifting so you guys can see. Basing the left hand now, sweeping and bridging, right hand across the horizon. Feel that little stretch. Breathe into it and take it down. One more time with this variation. To the opposite side, base, bridge, sweep it up, sweep it down, opposite side. Yes. All right. So that is our S-seat bridge. Second to last movement will be our side body position into a straddle position. So little nuances here. To even lower down and rise up from our side, from an upright position to a side body, we have to use the hand, forearm, shoulder. As I lower my left hand down out to the side, okay? So you guys can see. Hand bases, followed by the forearm. The elbow is pretty close to my hip here. As I lower down, my hand will peel up to the sky so I can descend with control into my side body. My top leg will forward step into a tight little position here. So side body position. Let's back step. The ball of the right foot traces the ground. Remember, it's not this stepping up. It's this smooth, connected movement to rise back into an upright seated position. Let's try it on the opposite side. So right hand bases about a foot outside, maybe less, of your hip. Hand, forearm lowers. As the forearm lowers, I peel my hand up to the ground, up to the sky, so I can lower my shoulder down to the ground, and then I forward step into my side body position. Reverse. Circling forward rather than just pressing straight up. Here, I'm circling my head towards my toes. So I circle. In this moment, I can base my hand to shift up back to this upright position. So just up and down here. Hand, forearm, shoulder, forward step, back step, circle forward, hand to press up. Okay? So this is just a Budokon transition that is fundamental in mobility to arrive on the ground with control and stay connected to the ground as you go to the opposite side. All right? So this isn't exactly what the movement is, but you need to know that to get to this next piece. From our side body position, where the movement begins, I will back step the right foot. I'm in my left side body, and my top right foot will brush the ground. And as I circle myself up and press myself up, I am simultaneously extending my legs in opposite directions to straddle here. Now, maybe you're really tight in your body, and so this looks more like a combat guard position. So we're looking for length here. So if you have more of this straddle capability, go for it. Because we will take this to the opposite side where you will begin to draw your knees back in, almost like an S-seat position, basing that right hand to lower yourself down here, hand, forearm, shoulder, forward step, side body. So let's try this again. Back stepping from my right side body, back stepping the left foot, brushing the ground, simultaneously scissoring the legs to straddle across. I'm finding the circular movement across from one side to the other. My knees draw into the midline. I'm forward stepping the top leg to arrive back in my side body now on the left side. Let's try it again. Back step the top leg, straddle through the legs. Maybe you find this nice therapeutic stretch as you find yourself back into a side body, recoiling, forward stepping the top leg over into side body again. Feel it out for yourself. Your expression. Good. Okay. Our last movement is another little tricky one, some nuance. It is from a side body position into a prone position through what we call a side winder transition. So we actually begin on our bellies here, where we will engage the back line. Reach the right arm forward, left arm back. Turn sideways. Right arm forward, left arm back here. Spread out through your feet, curling the toes under. Always keep your feet connected here in this position. Now, reach the right arm all the way over to the left side here, keeping the back line engaged until you have to turn onto your right side body. Once this happens, you feel this counter rotation happening in your spine, in the upper trunk and the lower trunk. We will coil our body into a side body position. This should be very familiar. So from side body now, let's expand back into our prone position. So reaching the right arm up, left arm down, straddling the legs back out. I find as much twisting as I can until I have to turn onto my belly. Now here, the right arm will sweep like a helicopter across the opposite side, where I reach my left arm as much forward as I can, my right arm back, until I have to twist and shift onto my left hip to draw everything in to a tight side body here on my left side now. So let's try that again. Extending both legs simultaneously, straddling them out. Find that counter rotation. Reach your hands in opposite directions until you have to find yourself back through prone. Keep the arms spinning, helicoptering over to the other side. You have to turn onto the side body and draw everything in to this tight side body position. Again, reach, extend, really straddle out here. You should be reaching literally in all directions in your body. Look how far apart my feet are, how far apart my hands are from one another. And I'm always keeping my feet connected to the ground. This is the hardest thing that I see people do from time to time, is they will pick their foot up and step it around. It's very clumsy. This is not what we're going for here, okay, guys? So, reaching in opposite directions. Let's do one more on each side together. Left arm reaches up, right arm down, twisting to the side, coiling in, finding this contraction moment. Extend in all directions till you have to find the prone position. Keep the arms turning to twist, rotating, twisting it up, and contracting back down into the side body. All right, guys, I think we're ready for our medium intensity interval training class now. So let's go ahead and get into it.